another video. Check this car that just came in. Oh, 55 sedan delivery. This thing's pretty clean too. Come in and it's going to be getting some work done, which I'll show you here soon. Beautiful car inside and out. It's clean. I think the car was repainted a few years ago. It's a Viper red. They did a good job on it. So I'll show you under the hood, show you what we're doing. Okay, so here's what we have here. The whole car looks good, and the engine is just wore out. So it's time to get an engine put in this thing. It's a 350 small block Chevy, nothing done to it, completely stock, some headers, and my favorite, the junk Edelbrock intake. They did relocate the radiator out in the front. Gives you a lot more room in here. So let's show you what's going in it next. Alright, this is it right here. Can't wait to get this thing down in there. This is a 355 TMG intake. This ended up being an 850 with annular boosters, Dart Pro 1 heads. It's got all ARP bolts, solid roller camshaft. It's a 665 653. It's right around 305 duration, I believe. We'll have to get a converter in his transmission. His transmission is a 700 R4, so at least he has overdrive. So here's the engine. Now we just have to get the car in and start tearing it down, get that engine out. Like I said, wore out. This thing actually has a lifter noise in it. It's real quiet, but so you'd be pulling it out, freshening this engine up, or you just put one in and it's ready to go. So here's a little bit of the bottom of the car. Looks like a backup light there. License plate lights in the bumper.
These spring shackles. These springs.
Yeah, I like their exhaust clamp.
The brake line.
Zip ties. There's the exhaust that we saw coming out of the corners.
JJ, the boss like that on zip tie.
I do like how they notched this cross member for the transmission. And they've coated the floors. It had a little bit of a leak.
Brand new gas tank.
She'll be ready to come out here in no time. Alright guys, got it, the front end accessories all off of it. Below I got the torque converter bolts out. It's kind of nice. Somebody's done some work in this engine compartment in the past. They didn't do the greatest work, but they've added these mounts down here and then something here, and then the core support kind of has a top piece that goes across for the radiator that they mounted in the front. So I'm going to pull this carburetor off, get the distributor out, and this thing I'll go ahead and all I have left then is the exhaust and the bell housing. So I'll get that off and we'll get ready to pull this thing out. So got this engine ready to pull. Got the old cherry picker hooked up to it. Got everything unhooked. We're making sure that the header is going to fit on the new engine, going from the straight plug to the angle plug. So we're doing that as we speak. Here's my old bird. So, checking that out now. Getting this old girl a little heart transplant. So, pull this engine. That was quick and easy. Just pulled it right out. So next step, got to pull this torque converter out. Make sure what splines this 704 has. There's two different ones, 27, 30. So I want to make sure. I'm sure it's the 30, which is the same as a 4L60, 4L60E. So I'll just double check on that, and then we'll run up to Jegs, and we'll pick up a stall converter. I think we're going to go 32, 3600, somewhere in that range. Either FTI or B&M. We'll see when we get there. Alright, so Jegs finally delivered our converter. This is a Street Bandit 48405. And what this is a 35 to 4200 stall. So we're going to go ahead and get that in the car and get this engine ready to drop down in. The engine's over here. I had to change a couple things over, like his temperature sensor. Had to put a new one on. Got his motor mounts on. I went ahead and took the valve covers off because they'll get smudged and scratched. We don't want that. So get the converter in, get the engine in. Alright guys, so got this engine in here. This thing fought us a little bit. Normally something like this is just an out and a back in. This thing's got, let's turn on the light here so we can see. These old motor mounts, somebody's cobbled in here. It just kind of made things difficult. And then of course the transmission mount, we had an issue there. Transmission mount broke. I ended up having to pull the transmission out. So that was just a headache. But I do have it in. I got all the bell housing bolts in and tight. And converters in and tight. So we're a step closer. I was turning this thing over. I wanted to get it on top dead center and drop this distributor down in. And that's why I have this, because I was just kind of doing this myself. I can hear the compression stroke. So it started making a clicking noise. I think it's the flex plates grinding, so, or something's going on there. I don't know yet. I'm gonna take this thing up in the air and take a look. But at least we have the engine in there. That's a start, and we'll go ahead and get everything hooked up. I got my helper here. He don't like loud. Not yet, right? I'm not starting it. Alright, so here we are. Back to the grind. Start today fresh and see what we can get accomplished. Alright, I got this thing up in the air, and the very first thing that I see, like I said, this it sounded like the flex plate was hitting a little bit, and for whatever reason, we're up against the starter. So that's what I'm gonna have to tackle, get that freed up. And I do have these lines that I got to reconnect. I cut those, that way I could get the car, or get the transmission out from under the car. So this is what the bottom looks like. It's a 700 R4. Like I said, I had to pull this out. I had to pull his drive shaft out. Big old cherry bombs. So I'll get that taken care of here, and then I'll be able to start hooking some stuff up again. Alright, we got a carburetor on it. Got my throttle linkage hooked up and my kickdown cable. Oil temperature sensor, or oil pressure sensor. Distributors down in. Alternator, fan. Got to hook the power steering up once I get the header inside. And got this side on, so this side's ready for valve cover. Hook some wires up. Alright, so got everything hooked up, got the valve covers on. Those are real tight, especially with that brake booster. And then on this back corner of the firewall, but they did go on. Got his battery tray and battery hooked up. Kind of a weird location for the battery, but it is what it is. New fuel line. Got it primed. Let's start this thing up.